Part 1 At the Rifle of the Wehrmacht. The morning air hangs cold and damp above a muddy field somewhere in Poland, 1939. Dawn creeps slowly over a grey horizon, revealing silhouettes of young German soldiers moving silently through the fog. Their boots sink into wet earth. Their breath drifts into the air like smoke. And in nearly every pair of hands rests the same instrument, long, dark, purposeful. The Karabiner 98K. To the untrained eye it is simply another rifle of war. But to the men who carry it, and to the engineers who perfected it, the Karabiner 98K represents something far more profound. It is precision forged into steel. It is the quiet confidence of mechanical perfection. It is a weapon whose heart lies not in brute force, but in the flawless motion of a rotating bolt that locks with the certainty of mathematics. The story of the Karabiner 98K does not begin in the chaos of the Second World War. Its lineage stretches back decades to the late 19th century, when German engineer Paul Mauser pursued a singular obsession: absolute reliability. Mauser believed that a rifle must function in mud, snow, sand, and blood. It must fire when dropped, when soaked, when frozen. And above all, it must be accurate. His solution was the bolt-action system that would become legendary. A rotating bolt with massive locking lugs that sealed the chamber with uncompromising strength. Each time the shooter lifted the bolt handle, the mechanism unlocked with controlled resistance. Each time it slid forward, a cartridge chambered with mechanical certainty. And when the bolt rotated down again, steel locked against steel in a perfect, immovable union. By the 1930s, Germany refined the system into the Karabiner 98K, a shortened and modernized rifle designed for the evolving realities of modern warfare. It chambered the powerful 7.92 tilde, 57mm Mauser cartridge, a round capable of lethal precision at distances where most soldiers could barely see their enemy. Its walnut stock fit the shoulder like a tool crafted for a single purpose. Its iron sights, simple yet precise, allowed trained marksmen to place shots hundreds of meters away with terrifying consistency. Nothing about the rifle was ornamental. Every curve, every spring, every screw served function. For the German infantrymen, the Karabiner 98K was more than equipment. It was discipline made tangible. Training emphasized patience, control, and accuracy. Unlike armies that increasingly relied on rapid automatic fire, the German doctrine still believed in the power of the deliberate shot. A soldier kneels behind cover. He breathes. He steadies his aim. The bolt lifts. A cartridge slides into the chamber. The bolt turns. Locked. The trigger breaks with a crisp mechanical click. And somewhere in the distance, history shifts by a fraction. The Karabiner 98K would become one of the most iconic rifles ever carried into battle. Over 14 million would be produced during the war. But its reputation was never built on numbers. It was built on something far more enduring: the trust between a soldier and the quiet precision of a rotating bolt mechanism that rarely failed him when it mattered most. Part 2 At the perfection of the rotating bolt. Inside the Karabiner 98K lies a mechanism that appears deceptively simple. There are no complex gears, no elaborate automation. Only steel, carefully shaped and precisely fitted. Yet within this simplicity exists one of the most brilliant mechanical solutions ever devised for a firearm: the Mauser rotating bolt system. When a soldier grips the bolt handle and lifts it upward, he begins a sequence of movements refined through decades of engineering. The bolt handle rises with deliberate resistance, unlocking the chamber as two massive locking lugs disengage from their recesses in the receiver. These lugs are not merely supports. They are the structural spine of the rifle, designed to withstand immense pressure generated by the exploding propellant of the 7.92mm cartridge. Once unlocked, the bolt slides backward, extracting the spent casing with the claw extractor that grips the cartridge rim like a steel talon. The empty shell is pulled from the chamber and thrown clear by the ejector. Then the motion reverses. The bolt pushes forward again, stripping a fresh cartridge from the internal 5-round magazine. The round slides smoothly into the chamber. Finally, the bolt rotates downward. The locking lugs engage. The chamber seals. The rifle becomes, for a brief moment, a perfectly contained explosion waiting to happen. What made this system remarkable was not only its strength, but its reliability. Mud could clog other rifles. Sand could jam delicate mechanisms. But the Mauser action was built with tolerances that balanced precision and resilience. Even when fouled with grime, the bolt could often be forced open and closed. Steel against steel. Muscle against mechanism. This is why soldiers trusted it. Snipers trusted it even more. German marksmen equipped with telescopic sights mounted on specially selected Karabiner 98K rifles became some of the most feared shooters on the battlefield. From the forests of Eastern Europe to the shattered cities of the Western Front, these snipers relied on the rifle's mechanical consistency. Every shot behaved the same. Every bolt cycle felt identical. In the silent duel between unseen enemies hundreds of meters apart, that consistency could mean survival. The rotating bolt did more than chamber ammunition. It imposed rhythm. Fire. Lift. Pull. Push. Lock. Aim again. The shooter became synchronized with the weapon. Each motion carried weight and intention. Unlike automatic weapons that sprayed bullets in chaotic bursts, the Karabiner demanded control. And in the hands of a disciplined soldier, control translated into deadly efficiency. In war, technology often becomes a contest of complexity. But the Mauser system proved a different philosophy, that elegance and strength can coexist in simplicity. The rotating bolt was not revolutionary because it was complicated. It was revolutionary because it worked. Again and again, under conditions that would break lesser machines. Part 3: The Soldier and the Rifle. The relationships between a soldier and his rifle is rarely spoken of in grand speeches. It grows quietly through repetition. Through drills and training fields. Through nights cleaning steel with oiled cloth. Through the slow realization that this object in your hands may decide whether you live or die. For the German infantrymen of the Second World War, the Karabiner 98K became an extension of the body. From the moment the recruit first received the rifle, he learned its weight and balance. The feel of the wooden stock against the shoulder. The smooth arc of the bolt handle onto the palm. The sharp metallic click as the mechanism locked shut. These sensations repeated thousands of times during training, until muscle memory took over and conscious thought disappeared. In the chaos of battle, that familiarity mattered. Picture a young soldier crouched behind a broken stone wall somewhere on the Eastern Front. Snow falls lightly around him. His gloves are soaked. His fingers are numb. Somewhere ahead, hidden among the trees, Soviet soldiers move through the white silence. The German soldier does not see them clearly, only shadows shifting between branches. His breathing slows. He lifts the rifle to his cheek. The bolt slides forward. Lock. His eye aligns with the iron sights. The distant figure pauses. The rifle steadies. The trigger breaks. The recoil pushes gently against his shoulder. The soldier works the bolt again without thinking. The empty casing spins into the snow. Another round chambers. Another chance. This rhythm became the heartbeat of German infantry combat. While machine guns like the MG-34 and MG-42 dominated the battlefield with terrifying volumes of fire, the Karabiner remained the backbone of the infantry squad. It allowed soldiers to engage targets at longer distances. It allowed disciplined volleys. It allowed deliberate, controlled violence. Yet the rifle was not merely a tool of destruction. It was also a burden. Every scratch in the wood told a story. Every dent in the metal carried the memory of a moment when survival hung by a thread. Soldiers slept beside their rifles, marched with them, cleaned them obsessively. Because a dirty rifle could jam. And a jammed rifle could mean the end. War reduces life to small mechanical certainties. Bolt forward. Bolt back. Sight picture. Trigger. And within that rhythm, the Karabiner 98K remained faithful to the men who carried it. Part 4A Precision across distance. War often collapses distance. Explosions erupt meters away. Bullets scream past ears. Yet there are moments when the battlefield stretches wide and silent, when the enemy exists only as a distant shape on the horizon. In those moments, the Karabiner 98K revealed its true nature. Accuracy. The rifle's long barrel and powerful 7.92 57mm cartridge created a combination capable of remarkable ballistic performance. When fired, the bullet left the muzzle at high velocity, spinning through the air with stability granted by the barrel's rifling. The iron sights, adjustable for distance, allowed trained shooters to engage targets hundreds of meters away. For the ordinary infantryman, this meant effective fire across open fields or defensive positions. For the sniper, it meant something even more chilling. Control over life at extreme distance. German snipers equipped with scoped Karabiner 98K rifles became a constant threat on the battlefield. Hidden among rubble, forests, or church towers, these marksmen watched patiently through magnified optics, waiting for the slightest movement. Unlike the chaos of machine gun fire, the sniper's rifle spoke in single, deliberate sentences. Each shot carefully considered. Each bolt cycle slow and measured. Lift. Pull. Push. Lock. The mechanical precision of the bolt ensured that every round seated perfectly within the chamber. This consistency mattered. Even small variations in chamber alignment could change the trajectory of a bullet over long distances. But the Mauser action minimized such inconsistencies. Steel locked tightly into steel, maintaining alignment between barrel and cartridge. The result was predictability. Predictability breeds confidence. And confidence breeds patience. Many wartime accounts describe German snipers who would wait hours for a single opportunity. They trusted that when the moment arrived, their rifle would deliver the bullet exactly where the sights rested. In the silent duel between sniper and target, this mechanical certainty became as important as skill itself. Across the ruined landscapes of Europe, the Karabiner 98K demonstrated that precision is not merely a technical specification. It is a philosophy. A belief that a weapon should deliver exactly what the shooter demands, no more and no less. Part 5A The Industrial Machine of War. Behind every rifle on the battlefield lies an entire world of industry, labor, and relentless production. The Karabiner 98K may have been carried by individual soldiers, but its existence depended on factories working day and night across Germany and occupied Europe. Production began long before the war erupted. German engineers refined the design to reduce manufacturing complexity while maintaining reliability. Components were standardized. Machining processes were optimized. By the late 1930s, factories such as Mauser were producing rifles in enormous numbers. As the war intensified, demand surged. Millions of rifles were needed to equip expanding armies fighting across multiple continents. Production lines expanded to include other manufacturers, including factories in occupied territories. Workers labored under strict quotas. Steel flowed through stamping presses and milling machines. Wooden stocks were shaped, sanded, and fitted with metal hardware. Yet even within this massive industrial system, the essence of the rifle remained unchanged. the rotating bolt mechanism still required careful machining. The locking lugs still demanded precise alignment. Despite pressures to increase production speed, engineers could not compromise the fundamental strength of the action. Because if the bolt failed, the rifle would explode in the soldier's hands. This delicate balance between mass production and mechanical integrity defined wartime manufacturing. Early rifles displayed immaculate craftsmanship, with deep bluing on the steel and finely finished walnut stocks. Later wartime rifles became rougher. Machining marks remained visible. Finishes simplified. But the essential mechanism endured. Millions of soldiers depended on it. Factories became part of the battlefield in their own way. Allied bombing raids targeted industrial centers, attempting to cripple Germany's ability to produce weapons like the Karabiner 98K. Sirens wailed across factory towns. Workers rushed into shelters. Yet production often resumed within hours. The war machine demanded it. By the end of the conflict, more than 14 million Karabiner 98K rifles had been produced. Each one carried the same mechanical heart designed decades earlier by Paul Mauser. Each one destined to pass through the hands of a soldier standing somewhere on the front line. Part 6a echoes after the war. When the war finally ended in 1945, the battlefields fell silent. Cities lay shattered. Armies dissolved. Yet the Karabiner 98K did not disappear. Millions of rifles remained scattered across Europe. Some were captured by Allied forces and studied as examples of German engineering. Others were reused by new armies forming in the ruins of the Old World. In Eastern Europe, the rifles continued to serve for decades. In Israel, captured Karabiners were even converted to fire different ammunition and used in the early years of the Israeli Defense Forces. The rifle that once symbolized German military power became a tool repurposed by former enemies. Hunters adopted it. Collectors preserved it. Gunsmiths admired the Mauser action for its strength and reliability. Even today, modern bolt-action rifles often trace their lineage directly back to the Mauser design principles perfected in the Karabiner 98K. But beyond engineering influence, the rifle carries something heavier. Memory. Each surviving rifle is a relic of a time when the world tore itself apart. Scratches in the wood may have come from a frozen trench. Rust spots may have formed during long marches through rain and mud. Serial numbers stamped into steel connect the object to a factory, a soldier, a battlefield. Weapons outlive the wars that created them. And the Karabiner 98K, with its precise rotating bolt and quiet mechanical confidence, remains one of the most recognizable rifles ever built. Part 7. The silence after the shot. There is a strange silence that follows the final shot of a war. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of purpose. The rifles remain. The mechanisms remain. But the reasons they existed begin to fade. The Karabiner 98K was never designed to become a symbol. It was designed to function. To fire. To endure. Yet history often transforms tools into artifacts of meaning. When a soldier lifted the bolt of his rifle, he did not think about engineering philosophy or industrial production. He thought about survival. About the next minute. The next movement of the enemy. The next chance to return home alive. The rotating bolt locked with quiet certainty. The rifle fired. And somewhere in the chaos of war, another moment of history unfolded. Today, the Karabiner 98K rests in museums, collections, and quiet gun safes around the world. Its wood has darkened with age. Its steel carries the subtle wear of time. But when the bolt handle is lifted and rotated, the motion remains exactly as it was nearly a century ago. Smooth. Precise. Unchanged. It is a reminder that technology can shape history in ways both profound and tragic. A reminder that even the most elegant engineering can become entangled with human conflict. And a reminder that behind every weapon lies the hands that built it, the hands that carried it, and the lives forever changed by its presence. The Karabiner 98K was never just a rifle. It was the quiet heartbeat of a generation marching through the darkest years of the 20th century.